Another big-time visitor for Indiana basketball is heading to Bloomington.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets. Win your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Well, thank you so much for being here. Lots to go over on the show today. Is a mascot on the way for Indiana? There's been some weird things going on, some videos put out by Indiana Athletics and the social media team. We'll dive into that a little bit and have some fun. Plus, ESPN disrespecting Indiana football in ways that you may not think. But before we talk about all of that, the Hoosiers of Indiana, head coach Darren Devries and Indiana basketball, they've been traveling all over the place. They've been watching big-name players. They've been offering up scholarships, and now they're starting to stack up visits. And they do it again with someone who's going to be here at the end of June, okay, in the last week of June, 25th through the 27th, someone we've talked about on this show, someone who I think is – yes, he's a little on the lower rated side, but someone who I think is only going to grow, only going to rise, only going to get better. And it's the 3-star Prince-Alexander Moody, who will officially be in Indiana for an official visit in June. This is a big deal because so many of you Indiana fans have been saying, we don't care about scholarship offers. We just want to know when they visit. We want to know when they commit. We want to know when they're officially ours. I totally get that. But as I've told you, this is a process. You have to see them. You have to talk to them. You have to offer them. You then have to take this step and get them on a visit. Prince-Alexander Moody, 3-star guard out of the state of Maryland. He's 6'4", 180 pounds. Where he ranks kind of depends on where you look at and what site that you want to use. Anywhere from 115 to 150, give or take. He's a top 150 player, I think, is the best way to put that. And someone who I would consider to be a combo guard. I think that's how they list him. Some have him as a shooting guard, but I would put him as a combo guard just because I think he can play both spots. I think he can play the 1. I think he can play the 2, the point or the shooting guard, because that's kind of what he's asked to do in his high school rankings or his high school games there in Maryland. But he's also a part of Team Takeover, which is a really, really big AAU program. And so this kid is a really talented guy. And I think he's going to, again, continue to rise because you turn on the film and, man, he doesn't play like a 3-star. He doesn't look like a 3-star. He doesn't carry himself like a 3-star. He is a really solid basketball player. He's comfortable with it in his hands. He's confident with the basketball in his hands, and he's very strong with the basketball in his hands. He's willing to back somebody down, turn around, fadeaway jumper. He loves a good spin move. He will go to that almost every single time and get to the rack. Then he can either finish, or I saw a couple of really good clips of him spinning to the lane, having maybe a contested layup, and then whipping it out to the 3-point line for an open teammate. He's willing to do that. He'll also run the floor. He's got good size. I think he's a pretty good defender and just versatile, if nothing else. And so I'm excited about this. And look, with it being almost a month, maybe 5 weeks away, if you're watching this when it comes out, about 5 weeks away from when he takes his official visit, will there be any commits for Indiana by that point? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I think things are really starting to trend in the right direction for Indiana. I think you're seeing this staff and head coach Darren DeVries and his guys go out and see every big name possible, right? They're starting to get all these scholarship offers back out there for top 30 players. They did a couple of more this past weekend, and you're getting official visits set up. And Prince-Alexander Moody is someone who isn't going to just send shockwaves through the recruiting world if he were to pick Indiana on his official visit, but it would be a really good place to start. Someone who is just sound at the game of basketball. He also can shoot, by the way. I think he's shooting like 37, 38% in his AAU games right now from behind the arc. And in the videos that I'm able to find, he was able to do it in the half court, in transition, off the bounce, off the dribble, off the pass. I mean, he was kind of able to do it all from out there. And if you are 6'4", you would think he'd get a little bit bigger, 180 pounds, but someone who can play the one or the two, you just open up the possibilities of where Indiana could put him if he were to commit to the Hoosiers. And so I say all of that because I don't know if he would be the first commit or not by the time he gets here. But if he is, it'd be a great place to start. And how many times have we talked about Indiana and Darren Devries having to start from scratch? They had to completely restart and rebuild and reset every single relationship that Mike Woodson and previous staffs had made because they were just so bare bones dry. They were so in such a bad spot that DeVries and company have had to reset all of that. And I know there's a lot of frustration with the Indiana fans of, well, we've talked about big players like Moody before and he's picked somewhere else. We've brought him on visits before, but he's picked somewhere else. We've offered him everything in the world and they've picked somewhere else. And I agree. The facts are there. You cannot deny that Indiana basketball recruiting has not been good, but it's different now. It's a different coach. It's a different staff. It's a different program. And that's where you have to look at this. And that's how you have to look at this is, man, this coaching staff is trying to get anything and everything they can. And I would say limit your expectations in 2026. Guys like Prince-Alexander Moody are the reason are guys who I think could really build this class while you're still rebuilding all of this. And look, I think we're going to find out with some of these big name kids coming on campus. Can DeVries close the door? Can he land big name high school kids? We saw him do it in the transfer portal, bringing in one of the best classes, I think, in the entire country. Can he do it in the high school rankings? And I think by getting someone like Prince-Alexander Moody, who is only going to get better, who doesn't look like a 3-star, who you're battling with Maryland and Illinois and Michigan State, big name programs want this kid. And Indiana's got a visit coming up in late June. That's a prime opportunity for you to flex your muscles, whether that be coaching or facilities or money or whatever the case may be. It's a chance for you to show that you belong, to show that you mean business. And again, I understand there are frustrations from previous coaches and coaching staffs, but doesn't this coaching staff and this head coach deserve your I don't know, maybe not your trust, but don't they earn and deserve your respect, or at least deserve a little grace, deserve a chance, deserve a shot to prove to themselves, to the players, to you, the fans, that they can do it? They can not only go out and see these kids play, because Mike Woodson would go see kids play. Sure. Mike Woodson would offer kids scholarships. Sure. Mike Woodson would be in the top 5, top 3, top 2. Sure. He just couldn't get them to pick Indiana. But doesn't this staff deserve the opportunity to do that, to prove it to you? That's what they're trying to do. You're going after guys like Prince-Alexander Moody, who, by the way, are teammates with AAU, with one of the best players in the country, I think the best player in the country, in Jordan Smith, who Indiana has also offered and talks with getting him on campus as well. So the Hoosiers are doing the right things. And things you should be excited about are players like Prince-Alexander Moody coming on official visits for Indiana basketball. That will be in late June. That'll be late June 25th through the 27th. Again, 3-star combo guard, 6'4", 180 pounds, out of the state of Maryland. Coaching staff has some serious ties over there, so this was really important. This is a big opportunity for Indiana basketball with Prince-Alexander Moody coming for a visit. All right, coming up here on Locked On Hoosiers, we will flip over to football because ESPN seems to be disrespecting Curt Cignetti and the Hoosiers, and more importantly, the talent on the team. We'll talk about why in just a second here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and during the game. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. What would it look like if you were to combine some live prop bets mid-game based on the action, right? If you were to take Halliburton and you were to take Brunson and you were to take so-and-so and put them all together and say, you know what? We're halfway through. This guy's had a cold first half. I think he's going to come out and have a good second half. Boom. Put that in there. Maybe you think somebody's going to knock down a couple of threes. Put that in there. Maybe you think it's going to overtime. Put that in there too. You can do all of that with FanDuel with live same-game parlays. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, they're going to give you $200 in bonus bets, all right? Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here, making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. And shout out to Indiana softball, who I know got eliminated from the NCAA tournament after a really, really good season. And so one that was exciting and a tough regional. And man, there's just so many good softball teams out there. And so shout out to them for an incredible season and unfortunately and ultimately falling in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And also shout out to Indiana baseball, who will be competing in the Big Ten tournament this week as teams are trying to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament next week. And Hoosiers need to go on a run, I think. And so good luck to them in the Big Ten tournament. That'll be a lot of excitement there and a lot of fun to keep up with. But as we move right along into some football conversations, ESPN put out an article this morning, Tuesday morning on May 20th. They put out an article on their website on their college football page. And it was from Adam Rittenberg, who is a very well-respected college football writer for ESPN. And the article is, here's the title, College Football's Top Playmakers for the 2025 season, but they're doing it on non-quarterbacks, which I think is smart. I think it's a fun article. I think it's a cool idea. Talk about who are the best players and the biggest names to know that are not quarterbacks who typically take a lot of the shine, right? So I clicked on it this morning as I was drinking coffee, getting ready, and I was like, all right, well, let's see where Indiana players stack up, right? Top 25. I'm not joking. I expected to see at least two players, if not three, for Indiana in this top 25 list, because it's not just offense or defense. It's both. It's receivers and defensive linemen and linebackers and running backs and all sorts of guys. And I was like, sure, Indiana's going to have a couple players in here, right? Non-quarterbacks who are ranked in the top 25 in college football. Nope. Not a single one. There's not a single player from Indiana on this list. And sure, it's led by Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. That's fine. It's led by Ryan Williams at Alabama as a receiver. Okay, that's fine. It's led by Jeremiah Love, the running back in Notre Dame. Okay, that's cool. Anthony Hill, linebacker from Texas. Okay, I get it. But then you start scrolling down and you start looking at, Chandler Rivers, a cornerback at Duke. You start looking at Jacob Rodriguez, a linebacker at Texas Tech, and Max Clare, a tight end at Ohio State, and Isaac Brown, a Louisville running back, and Caleb Banks, a defensive tackle at Florida. And you get all the way down, and Indiana's not there. There's not a single player that ESPN considers to be a top 25 player in college football that's not a quarterback that's currently on Indiana's roster. In this article, I made sure I read it properly. It is freshmen, transfers, returnees, doesn't matter. It's any player in the country, and Indiana doesn't have a single name on there. I was expecting to see the likes of Aiden Fisher, D'Angelo Pons, Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper, Michael Kamara. I was expecting to see any of those guys, and we just didn't. And I understand From the freshman standpoint, it's really hard to put guys in there. And I don't even know if there's any freshmen on this list. I see a lot of juniors and seniors, couple of sophomores in here. I doubt there's any freshmen on this list just because you don't know if they're going to actually be a top 25 player or not. So that would be my guess as I get to the top. I don't think there are. There's not. Okay, so youngest is a sophomore, somebody like Jeremiah Smith. And I understand the transfer direction with this too, because there are some transfers who were really good at their other school and now they've been convinced to go play at another school. And look, Indiana just wasn't in the box or in the boat of we have to go get just superstars in the transfer portal. And look, I think we got some really good players. I do. But I don't think we just picked up anybody that was just a miracle type of player. We didn't go get a former All-American starter from another Big Ten school and bring him to Indiana at every single spot. We didn't do that because we didn't have to. And so not having any freshmen on this list for Indiana, that's fine. Not having any transfers on this list for Indiana, that's fine, because we have to kind of find out what exactly we're going to have. I think guys in the secondary are going to be awesome. I think you picked up some linebacker help or even maybe some defensive line help as well. You obviously picked up a California receiver. You've got a new running back in there. So with Hemby, I mean, you've got names that are going to make an impact on this team. But I understand ESPN not giving any love or spotlight or expectations for those guys to be top 25 players in college football. Totally understand. But it's the returning players on this team that I have an issue with ESPN not giving respect, not even expecting them to be good, not even flirting with the idea of putting them in a top 25. Now, I will say there is no list under this of just missed the cut or, honorable mentions or anything like that. There isn't a list like that. So maybe Indiana had somebody outside the top 25. I don't know. But I find it really, really hard on a team that made it to the college football playoff last year, who brought back the majority of their talent from that team onto this year's team on both sides of the football, mind you. I just find it really, really hard for them to not have some love, for them to not be considered top 25 players in the country. And look, you can look at this at several different angles. You can look at this and say, "Oh, this is terrible. They hate Indiana. They just don't respect us." And I do kind of look at it that way. But I also look at it the other way of it's just another opportunity. It's another tally on the board for Indiana to look at and use as motivation for themselves. And I'm sure Curt Cignetti will use stuff like this. He's talked about it all the time, where you get to prove the country wrong again. Nobody had expectations for Indiana football last year, and all of a sudden you come out of nowhere and you make it to the college football playoff. All right, cool. Year two is, well, they're not going to do it again. They can't do it again. They're not going back to the playoff. They don't have the talent to compete. Did you see how they played in that Notre Dame game? They don't have the dudes to compete in college football. But I think we do. I think we do. I think we have the talent, the coaching, the facilities, the money, everything we need to be a competitive football team. But when I see articles like this, it tells me, A, they're either not paying attention, or B, they are just refusing to believe that Indiana still has good football players. I totally understand that this is a top 25 list of the best players in college football. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of good players in the country. And this is a prediction from them, and that's fine. We do that all the time. But I don't see how Indiana doesn't have one. I swear on my life, I was expecting to see 2 or 3 on this list. And when I didn't see any, when I kept scrolling, and I was like, oh no. I was like, I have to talk about this. Because there are so many good, experienced players who I think are just going to help Indiana flat out win games this year. Just not even win, maybe dominate some games this year. You've got 2 of the best receivers in the Big Ten. You've got 2 of the best defenders, 3 of the best defenders in the Big Ten, who I think will be some of the best in college football because the Big Ten at the top is expected to be the best conference in the country this year. Math adds up to me. But I just think for Curt Cignetti and this staff and this team, this organization, it's just another Just another chalk or another mark on the board. Just add it to the list of things of why people don't think or want or believe that Indiana will be good in 2025. But I disagree. And so I'm curious if Mr. Rittenberg will do another list at the end of the season of the top 25 players in college football who are not quarterbacks and see if Indiana has a player or two on that list. Because if I were a betting man, if that was available on FanDuel with our friends over there, I think I'd sprinkle a few dollars on that. I think I would take my chances because there's some serious talent on this squad. And whether it be Pat Coogan on your offensive line, whether it be Surratt and Cooper on your outside is catching the football or your dudes on defense, I just have a feeling if you were to redo this list in December or early January at the end of the college football season, you may have a few names for Indiana pop up on the top 25 players in the country. All right, coming up in our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers is a new mascot on the way for Indiana. Some weird videos and some buzz around the program, around the state, around the university is starting to kind of grow. We'll talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Hoosiers. Final segment on Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much for being here, and shout out to all of my everydayers. You know who you are, and I thank you so much for being here here in the month of May as we get into June, July, and then football season's here, man. It's going to be here before we know it. And so for any of you listening on audio on any of your various podcasting platforms on Spotify or Amazon or Apple or however you listen to the show, I really do appreciate you doing that. And so make sure that you are following us there and you have your notifications turned on and all those things that I ask you to do almost every single day, and send it to anybody. If you've got Indiana fans in your family or in the office or whatever, make sure they're listening to this show. We have a lot of fun and we put a lot of work into it. And so we want more people to listen to it. The more the better. And so make sure that you do that. Also, if you are watching on the video side of things on YouTube, you know the drill there. Hit that thumbs up, like the video, tells us you enjoy what's going on over here. Also, leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments down below and subscribe to the channel. All right. If you haven't done any of those things, make sure you do that here for Locked On Hoosiers. Well, there seems to be some buzz and some momentum, if you will, about a new mascot on the way for Indiana athletics. And a couple of videos have dropped over the last several days, and I'm sure you've seen them. If not, just look up Indiana mascot video or just look up Indiana in general. You're going to find it. I mean, they've put them out. The official Indiana athletics accounts on social media were putting them out over the weekend. There were two different ones with some former Indiana athletes and some names, and then some fun things in there. And so it all signs point to a new mascot being on the way for Indiana. And I know this seems kind of crazy because hasn't been a whole lot for the Hoosiers in recent memory or in just history at all. There's been some that before my time, I was reading that they were not overly popular sometimes with some Hoosiers mascots and some different things that would walk around, and some that may have been on the offensive side. And so it's been a little bit since the Hoosiers have had one, but a bison could be on the way or something like that, to where maybe just trying to generate some buzz. And it seems like this is going to be taking place by the time the fall rolls around, which would be, of course, for football season and the fall sports around IU. And look, I've had some people just in my circle ask me how I feel about it. Honestly, I don't care, but I don't not care at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I can't wait. We finally need a mascot. It's been forever. But I'm also not on the side of, well, I just don't care. This is just whatever. It's boring. It's stupid. We'll see what happens. Whatever. I'm just kind of in the middle. I'm honestly, like a lot of fans, I'm kind of just in wait and see mode because we don't have a ton of information other than the two social media videos that they put out over the weekend. And so, look, is it weird to some that Indiana's one of the main or one of the few major schools that doesn't have a visual representation for a mascot? Sure. Some people would say that it's weird, but honestly, I don't really think about it all that much. I mean, we've never had one in my basically my opinion in my lifetime and my fandom. And so I don't really think about it all that much because that's just what it's always been. And so this is something new. I don't know exactly where this is coming from or why this is all happening. I'm assuming we will get all of this explained as time goes on and as this all comes to fruition. But I'm curious on where you stand, the Indiana fan base. Let me know in the YouTube comments or get us on social media at Locked On Hoosiers on X. I mean, let me know. Are you excited about a new mascot? Do you want a new mascot? Do you not really care about this whole idea? I think there are no wrong answers here. It's genuinely your opinion on what you think and what you predict and what you're hoping for. All I ask, all I ask is that if they're going to do it, just do it right. Just put some time into it. Do it right. Don't make it look silly. Don't be a laughing stock. Don't give people something to make fun of us for because I just don't want to deal with it. I really don't. I don't want to go through that. And so there are some super cool mascots across college football, across college athletics in general. Does Indiana need one? I don't know. I think it kind of makes it special that we don't, to be honest. But at the same time, if this is what they feel is necessary, or if this is what they want to do to generate a little bit more excitement for the football season and then your new basketball season with a new head coach, I mean, whatever, man. If that's what they want to do, go for it. I'm just saying, do it the right way. Don't make it look stupid. And if it looks cool, great. If it doesn't, maybe it'll be another 1 year thing and the Hoosiers may never have a new one again. So I guess keep yourself updated in terms of social media with Indiana. I don't really know how to tell you to keep up with that, to be honest with you. We'll do our best to see what comes out and what they decide. And again, I think it'll be sometime over the summer before the fall rolls around, and something's on the way. We just don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I am curious on what your thoughts are if Indiana were to bring a new mascot. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much again for being here. Cannot stress enough. Appreciate you for joining us. And again, we're just having a blast and putting in the work and excited for what the offseason holds. Recruiting is about to really ramp up for Indiana basketball. So this is the place you want to be. We're going to talk about all of them, break them down as they get offers and come on visits, and hopefully start committing to the Hoosiers. All right, so make sure if you're on audio, follow us, turn on your notifications, and send it to everybody that you know. And if you're watching on YouTube, like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. All right, we are back tomorrow, Hoosier fans, for another episode. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.